right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody's doing well today. Hope everybody had a great weekend, great extended weekend. Uh, we're going to go ahead and get things rocking. Um, so, without further ado, please turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper for notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right, we got a decent amount to catch up on over the long weekend. Had some news come out of Australia Monday night, Tuesday morning, and we got some things happening today. So let's get to it. We'll hop over to trading economics, take a look there, and then take a look at the calendar, and then we'll dive into the charts. All right. So, real quick, just drop me a one in the chat if you can hear me okay. Perfect. Appreciate it. All right. So, top news on trade economics: China's services activity growth softest in 5 months. General services PMI fell sharply to 53.9 in June from 57.1 in May. The reading pointed to the softest growth in service sector since January, with a revival in tourism appearing to provide a limited boost in the sector. Meanwhile, cost pressures were relatively subdued and business sentiment improved for the first time in 5 months. So some back and forth data coming out of China after the COVID restart and all that jazz. So there's still a little back and forth happening there. All right. Eurozone producer prices fall first time in 2 years. Producer prices in Euro area declined by 1.5% year on year in May, following a downwardly revised 0.9% increase in April, and compared to the market expectation of 1.3% drop. It marked the first month of decline in producer prices since December 2020, driven by a significant 13.3% slump in energy costs and a 1.5% drop in the cost of intermediate goods. Additionally, inflation slowed for capital goods, durable goods, and non-durable consumer goods. Excluding energy, producer price inflation decelerated to 3.4% year on year in May, down from 5.1% in April. Right, so starting to see a shift in the data coming out of the Eurozone now. Right, on a monthly basis, producer prices fell by 1.9%, marking the fifth consecutive month of decrease. Right, so we're starting to get some mixed data coming out of the Eurozone. All right, that's the top news there. Let's see if we can find some of the stuff from the other day. UK services PMI continues to point to sustained expansion. So on the other side, coming out of the UK, things are still pushing to the upside. I may not be able to find that article now. We'll check things out, though. So we'll hop over to the calendar. We'll hop over to the calendar here. Let's back up. Australia on Tuesday, cash rate, they held. Right? Reading the statement. Basically, Governor Lowe stated that they want to assess, similar to what they did previously. They want to assess where things are. They do believe overall the Reserve Bank of Australia and their board do believe that inflation is past its peak. However, they do believe it'll be elevated for a period of time, right? So they want to monitor. Here's the article here that I read. I'll drop it in the chat. They want to monitor where things are and then be able to make a decision from there, right? But they do believe more interest rate hikes will be necessary, but they wanted some time to assess to see where things are. All right, so they paused to see where things are. They do expect more interest rate hikes to come. However, they do believe inflation is past its peak. All right, so they're looking for essentially data to show them that things are slowing down, even though they still made it increase further in the future. So that's what came out of Australia on Tuesday. On Monday, you had ISM services PMI come in below expectation for the United States. Here's that PMI data coming out of the Eurozone. You had Swiss CPI on Monday that came in below expectation. All right. So we got some data that's starting to get a little bit mixed as we continue to move through this inflation conversation, which could lead to in the future, folks betting on continued pauses and things of that nature. So we'll watch that rhetoric as we continue to move forward. For today, we have OPEC meetings all day long. At 2 p.m., this is what folks are looking forward to today. FOMC meeting minutes, and want to see what the conversation was last month to understand what could be ahead for the dollar, the Fed, and interest rates for the U.S. Right, so that's all eyes would be on 2 o'clock here in the United States. Looking for that, and then at 4 o'clock you have FOMC member Williams speaking. Be interested to see what his words are. Later on in the day, Thursday, we got ADP non-farm employment change, starting that normal beginning of the month cycle. Non-farm employment change, you got unemployment claims for the dollar coming in also. Then 10 a.m. tomorrow, ISM services PMI for the dollar, job openings, crude oil inventories, and then Friday we got a non-farm payroll cycle, and for Canada, the employment change and unemployment rate. Right, so second half of the week should give us some liquidity and some volatility in the market to potentially have some things move for us. All right, so that's the look at the fundamental side of things. Are there any questions, or did you guys see anything over the extended time off that caught your eye? Nope. All right, cool deal. Let's all right, cool deal. What's up, JC? Let's hop over to the charts. Hey, that rest is a good thing, man. It's a good thing. I got to get some more. Still battling some things on the health side. So let's rock. All right, over to the charts. I'll be getting some rest later on today for sure. To the dollar. Let's hold on one second, everybody. All right, so let's take a look at the dollar real quick. And we came back to that support level, right? We talked about this over the weekend, came back to this level, and we're just ranging right now, right? Try to break below, we're just ranging, trying to push back north. So we'll see with the meeting minutes today what happens here to see if we get the catalyst to push us to the upside with more of a hawkish tone coming out of the FOMC, right? If those meeting minutes are relatively hawkish, we'll see this start to ride to the upside and head to that 12,994 level. If there's some uncertainty there, any words that come off as dovish right? We could see investors take that and run with it. And then if that occurs, we'll see this thing make its way down to the downside. All right. So we'll watch that to see which direction we push here. All right. So it's one of those two things, all based on what the words are that were chosen. All right. So that's the dollar on the 4-hour time frame. We're still in this range. We want to see what direction we push. All right. I want to take a quick look at this pound NZD. Push lower than we expected over the break, but we're coming into some more key levels that we can take a look at. So on the dollar, on the daily time frame, push the D extension. This is our new fib. Clear this out here, right? We got to push to the 382 right here, and we're trying to push back to the upside. Overall, been pushing long, right? We're bullish on the pound. Okay. 618 retracement. These are your sub fibs running to the upside here, right? So we got a 618 retracement, push off the daily support. Matching D extension is here, which is in line with the D extension of the sub fib as well. All right. So coming back down to the downside, we could potentially get to this daily support level. We'll see. We'll see how far we push here, but push back below this resistance level. Okay, so I'm going to shift this and bring that to the top here since we broke back down below. Now we have a resistance here, support here. So this could be the range that we play in, right, for a little bit. So that's the daily look there on our way to the matching D extension, which is at 212. All right, so we drop down to the 4. Look at this a little bit more closely. I'll take these smaller waves off for a second. This is the look on the 4 here, right? Just shy of a 382 push here on the double bottom. And then we started running to the upside, okay? Created a new swing high. Now we're pulling back down. There's that daily support level. Now, in these smaller waves, we zoom in a bit. In this move off the top, coming back down, we got a 118 and 127 zone on the 4-hour here, which is in line with that daily support, right? So this is on the 4. So we could potentially, we got two scenarios that we want to watch here, right? We could potentially push down into this 118 and 127 zone and get to that support level, right? And then give us a reaction. That's on the 4, right? We're nowhere long on the pound, but we could come to the support level first and then get back long. One scenario from a 4-hour time frame perspective. All right. Now as we come down to the 1, right, here's the other scenario. We're already pushed through that 118, 127 zone. Price is trying to turn over. So we'll want to watch this here. We can run a trend line to the downside and watch this 80-20 scenario on the 1 hour. Let's see if we get a trend line break. Whoops. Let's see if we get a trend line break. Right? If we stay below this trend line, then that'll give us the thoughts and the view of coming back down to that support level, right? As long as we stay below that trend line. If we break that trend line, we could potentially be in for this move to start making its way to the upside on the higher time frame, right? As we're watching this and looking for this to continue moving long. Okay. So I want us to keep our eyes on this from a 1 hour and 4-hour perspective. See if we get the catalyst to get this thing moving back to the upside here. All right. From a cloud perspective, that's where we sit on the cloud. All right. So the cloud is almost in line with that trend line, still pushing bearish. So we could end up getting that push down to the downside. All right. So we'll watch that closely to see what transpires there. Questions on this pound NZD? No?
No.
All right, cool deal. Good morning to everybody that just joined us. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody.
How you doing, man?
Oh, man. Doing pretty good. Glad to be back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely glad to be back, man. Definitely glad to be back. Anything catch your eye over the break over the past couple of days that you got your eyes on from a fundamental perspective?
No, not really. Just really watching this China situation, right? And what's going on with their economy. Still having some issues getting started. I saw this morning that the China services activity growth was the softest in 5 months.
Yeah.
So just continue to watch it. I mean, it's the world's second largest economy. And it can have a huge impact on investor sentiment. So just continue to watch that situation play out. Um, I saw that the Eurozone producer prices, right, this morning, I did read up on that, that the producer prices, fell for the first time in 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting as we have a hawkish ECP going on. And we know that everybody's kind of waiting in anticipation of those FOMC meeting minutes that can impact everything as well in regards to what the FOMC is doing moving forward. Talking about 2 more rate hikes. The ECB is fairly bullish, so just continue to pay attention to the interest rate situation overall globally from the major central banks. As you know, we know that's lagging the effects from interest rate hikes. So just continue to monitor that situation, because it's one thing to have plans on, in regards to what they want to do moving forward, but the data could tell them another thing. So, and we know that we did see that rally in the stock market despite what they're saying, which is quite interesting. It still boggles my mind. So we'll see. It should be quite interesting moving forward through the summer.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely going to be interesting to watch and see how that goes. It boggles my mind too on the stock market piece and how they continue to bet against the Fed. And we'll
they continue to be defiant, and that's some of the same behaviors that got us in trouble, a while ago.
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say that, like, them continuing to push those prices higher ultimately trickles down and impacts the inflation conversation, and puts us in an even tougher situation from that perspective.
Yeah, it's gonna be, I don't know, man. Fear and greed, but they continue to move forward. So I don't know. I know the Fed is trying to orchestrate, the best type of landing that possible, but it's just that push and pull between the Fed and the markets right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So just continuing to be patient, very, very patient. Protecting the money first and foremost, and trying my best to pick the right spots in the market.
That's the thing, man. That's the thing. You always say it. Money managers first.
That's it.
Money managers first. Good deal, bro. Appreciate you, man. All right. So that's the pound NZD. Gonna hop. Actually, since we're on this side, let's take a look at this dollar yen. One that I've also had my eyes on, looking potentially for short opportunities, right? Depending on what the Fed has to say, coming back to the daily time frame, you pushed into that daily level that we were watching, right? Clean this up a bit. There we go. No, that's not actually it. Let's see. My bad. 1 second, everybody. Boom. There we go. No. Still not it. Okay, that was it. All right. So daily time frame, we pushed into this zone here, right? We got this range that we're looking at from a larger perspective, looking for price to push into, it's the point in which price broke out to the downside in that last yen intervention, right? This is that long push to the downside. Off that all the intervention talk, price moved to the downside. The dollar was pushing to the upside. I'm sorry, the dollar was pushing to the downside off that crown pattern. And this was the support level that was broken off the long bearish push, right? So this is the zone that we mapped out, and we came back and we retested that level here, right? Came back and retested that level there. So that caught my eye for potential of a reversal, right? Also, we hit the D extension on the daily time frame. We finally created this swing high, so we can place our daily resistance level there. Boom. All right. So we got a daily resistance now in line with the retest of a previous support that was broken off of a long bearish push, sorry. And now we're looking to say, okay, do we get more of a retracement or do we push higher? Okay. So that new fib, when it pops in, is going to look like this. Boom. So, right, we got this zone mapped out, and we'll look at on the 4-hour time frame, get a better view. But this 118, 127 zone, right, is also right in the middle of that zone that we mapped out. Okay, so what we could see, and we talked about this, and we'll see it on the lower time frame as well. If we get a retracement here, that retracement could only come on the daily time frame to around the 236 retracement level, right, in line with this daily support at 142.504. Right? If we get the retracement now, which would also kind of be in line with the trend line coming off the lows, right? So that's one scenario there from a daily time frame perspective. Okay. As we come down to the 4 and we look at this, it's a fresh AB boundary on the 4. Okay. Fresh AB boundary on the 4. So now, right, that previous D extension was in line with that support resistance zone where we created that swing high. So this daily support level, right, is in line with a 618 retracement. So if we get the swing off this 4-hour B boundary and actually do get the retracement, right, we're getting some confluence here at this daily support of the 618 retracement and in line with that trend line. All right, so we could, if we get that retracement now, we could see that push down. The 118, 127 zone sits right here. Right? So if we don't get that retracement now, those meeting minutes, if it's a catalyst for the dollar to continue to push higher, right, we could see price flip and push long. Right? If we push into the zone, 118, 127 zone here, we also saw in a daily time frame that 118, 127 zone is kind of in line with where this D extension is on the 4-hour. Right? So those meeting minutes are going to be key to tell us where price is going to go here. Okay, so we could break that resistance level, push into the 118, 127 zone, potentially the D extension on the 4, right? And that'll be in that 118, 127 zone on the daily time frame, right? So there's confluence in this range here as well, right? Once price gets here. So we'll watch this range also. I won't leave this box here. I'm just going to put it there for a second. But we want to watch this range also if the dollar gets bullish. Okay. So that's a scenario off the 4-hour, right? Sweet spot down here. If we get that retracement, it'd be a beautiful one. If not, we'll look at the higher ranges. And then the other thing to keep in mind that we talked about last week is Bank of Japan, right? They're watching for aggressive price movements in the market and price pushing into the higher 140s, close to the 150 range, which this puts us, if we get a push to that 118, 127 zone off the daily, that puts us around 147, right? Which is getting higher in that range where Bank of Japan has their eyes for potential intervention if they do that, right? They're trying to stay back. They're taking their time. They're just watching. But if price moves aggressively into the zone, we could see some more chatter from the Bank of Japan regarding a potential intervention. Okay, so we want to ensure that we keep that top of mind as well if we get this push to the upside and if it's a strong, aggressive spike to the upside. All right, so that's the 4-hour look. When we come down to the 1, zoom out, come back down here. Boom. Right, so on our 1, we're in the 118, 127 zone, right? That's where my boxes came in at. 118, 127 zone off of a shallow retracement. Back to that scenario, right? That 4-hour D extension is there. The 4-hour 118, 127 zone is in this range of 146-ish, right? That's also in line with the 1-hour D extension. Okay, so again, if we don't get the retracement here, we'll look for price to push up. That 1-hour D extension will get hit. The 4-hour D extension could also get hit and give us an 80-20 on the daily time frame. You guys follow me on those 3 time frames?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll watch that those minutes when they come out, and we'll see how the market responds. Right? We'll see how the market responds, and if it's a bullish response, we'll watch these higher levels. Watch for the D extension on the 1-hour and the 4-hour to be hit, and then see if we get price to push and stay at 118, 127 zone on the daily time frame. Right, and then we'll flip over, look at Japan times, Japan today in the business section to see what the Bank of Japan is talking about, if anything, at that time. All right. So that's the dollar yen. That's what I'm watching to see if we get the retracement now or if we get it later after a push higher. Okay. Again, that daily level, that 142.504 is in line with a 236 retracement on that 1-hour fib, right? So even if we did get that retracement, it'll still only be a shallow one. Okay, so those are the scenarios that I'm watching on this dollar yen. All right, any questions here?
Hey Ryan, I got a question.
Yeah.
So when you talked about the trend line, price coming down to the trend line and it possibly being in line with that daily support. So say if price does decide to break the trend line, but sometimes like it'll break it and then it'll go back into like the bias direction. How do we know like if it's a reversal or if it's just like retesting deeper and we just need to move the trend line?
I'd watch this daily support right here.
Okay.
Yeah, if we stay above this daily support level at 142.504, right? Because I follow what you're saying here, right? If we get this push and we get a break like that,
right?
Yep.
Do we?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
I watch this support level.
Okay.
And the other thing too, and we kind of talked about a little bit in the Discord. If price comes down and just say, we get down to this level and then price starts pressing sideways and we get some choppy action here, something like this, right? Then we say, okay, let's adjust this trend line. But then we could also see another then push to the downside in that daily support level, right? And by that time, we would have adjusted that trend line to the outermost point of that consolidation, right? So those are 2 things I'd look for if we get this press down right now, right? And then what that look like is we move that trend line like this, and then we look at it like that, right? So that's how I would look at that and see that trend line break and then that daily support level. If we stay above that daily support level, I'm going to look for a bounce, right? I'm going to look for a bounce because ultimately the Bank of Japan still hasn't changed their narrative. I think the thing that could get us to break that level is if the Bank of Japan does start to have that conversation of a narrative shift. Then we could look at this level ultimately potentially getting broken and then moving further to the downside. So that's how I would look at that. If we get a nice trend line break with a bearish candle, I'd look for that daily support level and see how price responds there. Make sense?
Yep, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Order activated. Yeah, yeah. Be careful and just watch it, right? Price could push in your favor, and then those meeting minutes come out and it flips. Right. So just be aware of that potential there. Let's see. On the 1 hour, price broke below the cloud. Okay, let's see. So one of the things here, just to be aware of, yes, we broke below the cloud, but look at the cloud. It's pressing sideways, right? And price is just moving sideways with the cloud, right? So price is moving directly through the middle. The cloud is moving directly through the middle of price. So yes, we got a cloud break here, but it's still in this consolidation zone, right? So just be aware of that as we continue to watch this. Just be aware of that, right? Cool deal. Any other thoughts, questions, feedback here?
No.
Cool. Cool. All right. So that's $1 yen. Whoops. Let's hop over to. Let's take a look at a few of these yen crosses, and then I'll look at the euro Aussie as well. So to the euro yen, and this is one I believe Carolyn was talking about in the Discord. So, few things that we've been watching here. All right, come back to the monthly time frame. Monthly, we're just shy of the monthly D extension. Right, 158.292. Just shy. Strong bullish push. Right, maybe we get a retracement first. We'll see, but just shy of that monthly D extension. At some point, we're going to get to that level, 158.292. Right, so keep that in mind as we move down to the weekly. Weekly, we hit the D extension here on that strong bullish push. Maybe we get a retracement first, but that 158 level is in our sights. And maybe we get a swing high on the weekly, right, and give us a new fib, and then that push to the upside. Still bullish on the euro, as Benny talked about, right? So now we come down to the daily time frame. Daily time frame, we're also just shy of the D extension. That daily D extension is in line with that monthly D extension. Okay. And this is our zone that we're watching: weekly, daily, monthly, all within this range. Okay. So we're getting a bit of a pullback now as price is just chopping sideways here. Okay. But I am looking for potential of another push to the upside to at least get to that D extension level, if not push further. Okay. So I still have my eyes on that level. I did drip a small entry in here at that 157.051 level. And if price pushes to the upside further, I'm okay with that. I'm looking at a potential longer term scenario as the yen starts to really get overextended. So that's my thought there, right? And the reason for that entry. But we got those D extensions, and that's going to be a key level for us to watch at 158. All right. So now as we come down to the 4, come back. There we go. So here on the 4, we're in that 118 and 127 zone on the 4. Okay. Daily, monthly D extension there. And we're just pressing sideways. Just pressing sideways in this range. Okay. D extension on the 4 is here, 163. Okay. So in the Discord, we're talking about trend lines and what the trend line breaks look like and how that process goes. So let's map these out real quick and we can talk about this. Right. So on the trend lines, right, and we talk about this pretty in depth in the training. On our trend lines, right, we look for the trend line breaks as a potential for price reversal, right? As an indication that the direction and momentum of price has changed. Okay, so as we run our trend lines to the upside, and we get to the highest point of price, there's one caveat to our trend lines. Could anybody tell me what that one caveat is? Anybody?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
When you're drawing your trend lines, there's one caveat that allows you to adjust your trend line. What is that one piece that will allow you to adjust a trend line from going through that first highest point?
Oh, when it start consolidating?
When it consolidates, right? It's the only time that we adjust our trend lines. When price moves sideways through our trend line, right? So here, this is your highest point, right? In this trend, yes, trend line goes there, but we see price just pressed sideways through the trend line. Yeah, it pushed down, but then it came right back up. So that then tells you that we're in a range. We're consolidating, right? That's our range. So when we see this, it's the only time that we adjust our trend line to the outermost point. Boom, right? And price is likely going to come down to the bottom of that range. So right now, at this point where price is, that's where we'd place that trend line. So we haven't gotten a trend line break because price is just consolidating and moving sideways. All right. That's the one caveat to the trend line, that if you're trading off of trend line breaks, that's the one thing you want to keep in mind. Right? If price moves sideways through my trend line, I adjust it to the outermost point. The only time. Okay. So that's what that looks like there. And if we push down, then push back up, then ultimately this trend line could then become irrelevant. And we're just looking at this as our trend line at that point. Right? So that's the look on the 4 hour with the trend line. That's where that inner trend line would be placed currently. Okay. Make sense, Carolyn? Cool. All right. So that's the 4 hour look there. Okay. Still looking for a price to push a little bit higher here. Right. Still looking for that daily and monthly D extension to be achieved. So we could get a bounce here, a bounce off that previous support level, right? But I'm looking for price to push higher to get to that level. And then I'll look for, right, a true reversal potentially, right, if we get a catalyst for it. Okay. So that's the 4 hour look there. Price is in that 118, 127 zone. So then coming down to our one, this is where we sit on the one, right? Another 80-20 scenario, 118 to 127 zone, sideways push. Yep, we broke the cloud to the downside. The cloud is bearish, right? But we got to be just aware of the range that we're in. And we could see potentially price push back to the upside, similar to how it did here, right? We could see price push back above the cloud, come to these higher levels, and then we'll see if we get a full shift there. So that's what I'm watching on this euro yen. As price continues to bounce, we'll see what happens throughout the day today, and throughout the next couple of days. All right, so that's the euro yen. Questions here?
Nope.
All right, cool deal. Swiss yen. Somewhat similar story, but not exactly, right? Monthly time frame, we broke that 118, 127 zone off the 618 retracement. We're headed to the D extension, but at some point, do we get a retracement, right? We don't have any resistance levels to track here, so we're literally watching price to see what price does. Okay. That's the only gauge that we have. And it's a beautiful thing, right? Because it really forces you. This pair has really forced me to really look at price action only, right? You don't have any resistance levels, anything to gauge it on as far as how high price goes, because we're setting all-time highs with this pair, right? And the yen hasn't changed. So fundamentally, still long, right? CPI on the Swiss came in a little bit below expectation, right? So could potentially give us at least a retracement, right? And that could be the start of a catalyst. Maybe we'll see, right? But price pushed up, weekly de-extension achieved, right? Off of the break of the previous weekly level there. So now we come down to the daily. And here on the daily, we're in the 118, 127 zone. Okay. In the 118, 127 zone. So got to swing high to form. So we have a level of resistance on the daily time frame. Boom. Okay. We'll bring that down to our lower time frames. There. So now we got a resistance level. This is our previous support level. So we'll see, or previous resistance here. So we'll see if we get a retracement here, maybe come back, retest that B boundary, and then get back long, right? 80-20 on the daily time frame here, right? Swing high form. Okay. So now as we come down to the 4, boom. 80-20 on the 4. So we got some alignment now with a resistance level on the daily. Okay. This previous level, previous weekly level is in line with that 50% retracement. That 382 is in line with that B boundary out the daily. Okay. So if we get a retracement, we'll watch the 382 level, we'll watch the 50% level and look for a bounce and a continued long to ultimately get to that monthly de-extension level, which is a little bit higher. Right. So this is the 80-20 scenario on the Swiss yen that I'm watching closely here. I do have that position in, looking to see if we get some more movement to the downside here. Okay. Yes, definitely be careful. Right. And you've done your math, Joy, so you know what your stop loss is, what have you. So you could get another push to the upside, right? And break that B boundary. We'll watch and see. I mean, break this daily resistance stuff. We'll watch and see what happens there, right? But here's the scenario there. 80-20 on the 4, 80-20 on the daily. Okay. And we said, right, as this was forming, we wanted to see this push into the zone. And now we got it. Now let's see if we get price to turn over and start making its way to the downside. Okay. Let's see what the cloud looks like here. Yep. So we're approaching the cloud, still bullish ahead on the 4. Okay. So that's the look on the 4 on the Swiss yen, down to the 1. So here's the difference, right? We're looking at cloud breaks, right? We also got an 80-20 on the 1 hour. Okay. Here's the difference here, right? You see price was pressing to the downside here, and price pushed to the downside, and you see initially the cloud was also moving sideways, and you see a sharp shift in the direction of the cloud, right? So the cloud now is pressing down and it's bearish, as opposed to continuing to move sideways as it was in some of those other pairs, right? The cloud was just moving in that sideways range there, right? Cloud also moved down as price moved down, right? So that's the difference in looking at those cloud breaks in and out of consolidation, right? If you see a sharp shift in the direction of the cloud along with that break of the cloud, that's an indication that that direction is starting to shift and not stay in that consolidation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So here we got this push to the downside, getting a bit of a retracement right now. So we'll watch to see if price comes back to this range right here. I got a lot of lines in here. Right. See if price comes back here as a retest of the bottom of that bit of a range there. Right. That's where price was bouncing in and out of. See if we get a retest of that level, and then a continuation short. Okay. But that's your 80-20 on the 1 hour. Got a nice push out of it. See if we get a pullback, retest, and then continue short. Okay. So here's the full markup here. And this is on the 1 hour. So that's a little larger than normal, right? Normally be in this range here. Boom. Boom. Like that. All right. Questions on the Swiss yen? No. All right. Cool deal. That's where we sit. That's where we sit. And we'll watch this as it continues to move, right? We know on the higher time frame, we got a longer way to go, right? So we'll be able to monitor this and allow it to do what it does. Okay. That's the Swiss yen. Let's take a look at the CAD yen. So on this one, right, monthly resistance had a nice bearish move. We know this move on the lower time frame was an 80-20, came back just shy of that monthly resistance level, stalling a bit here now from a monthly time frame perspective, right? On the weekly, we got a 382 pushing long. That monthly level is coming back into play, right? See if we get a retracement and then a continuation long. Okay. On the daily, and this is the look on the daily. I don't believe, just want to double check this one here. Yeah, got taken out. So daily, we're deep in the zone, right? This was our beautiful 80-20 scenario here. Long push, 8-6 retracement in line with daily resistance, right? Daily resistance, we stalled. We're starting to get a nice bearish candle to form. We'll see if we close bearish like this. But some of the indecision in China, right? China, large oil user, right? Impacts on both sides, right? So starting to try to push to the downside here. We'll see if we continue, right? From a daily time frame perspective, if this turns over, this previous daily level here. This was a resistance level. I'm going to watch this for that retracement here, right? Because we may not come all the way down and get back down to these lower levels. Okay. So what I'll be looking for here, because this is a yen cross, right? Things haven't changed. But if we get a retracement here, right, I'm going to look for something like that. And then see if we get a bounce and a continuation long to take out this A. Okay. That's my thought on this long term, right? Still overall not bullish on the yen just yet. Okay. So now as we come down to the 4, how that idea comes into play is here. 80-20. Boom. Right. So if we get this continued move to the downside here, right, that 382 is in line with that daily support level. Okay, 299 pips to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for here if we get this continued move to the downside. Okay, we'll look at it on the 1 hour as well, but there's our 80-20 scenario. Boom. Okay, so now coming down to the 1. Spiked up into that 118, 127 zone. We got the turn. Right? Again, right? The cloud pressing to the downside here. So let's see if we get a pullback and then a continuation short. Okay. If you're monitoring this off the 1, wait for the pullback here, right? But your setup looks something like this, and you can place your stop above the high if you want to here, right? Or, right, place it outside the D to give it more space. But that's the stop loss there. And looking for you move to the downside here. Okay. There's a move on the CAD yen. Questions here? 109, 119. Nice work. 119. So somewhere in this range here. Great work, Joy. Great work, great work. All right. Cool. So that's the CAD yen. Whoops. Pound yen. I'm not in this one, just watching this one. I still want this one to press higher. So weekly time frame. Still want to see price get here. 188, 815. Right? 618 retracement. I really want to see price push into this level. Okay. So I'm just watching this one as it slides. Coming down to the daily. Right? We finally hit that daily D extension. Beautiful. Got that push that we wanted, right? So now let's see what transpires if we get a small retracement and then a continuation to the upside here, right? Still bullish on the pound also, okay? Coming to our 4. This is why I want to see price continue to push long. I want price to get into this 118, 127 zone, and I'd really love it to get to that monthly resistance level as a key reversal point. Right, as a key reversal point. So keeping my eye on that there as price continues to slowly slide to the upside. All right. So being patient on this one here. Coming down to the 1. All right. We did push into that 118, 127 zone. We'll see if we get a retracement here or not. All right. But I'm being patient on it. I'm just going to watch this one. If we do get the retracement, that's cool. I'm going to allow it to come down, and I'm looking for a low price to get long. Because that's why I have my eyes set at 188, 815. Okay. So, but you do have an 80-20 here on the pound yen. Again, along with the other yens, just be cautious with it. All right. So that's the pound yen. Questions here?
No.
What do you mean, Joy?
I forgot about this one, and my order activated.
You had a sell limit here?
Yep, I'm at 182, 746.
Okay. Just monitor it, right? Just because we could get that retracement, right? So just monitor it. Just monitor it and see how it goes, right? Because we could get that retracement here on the 1 hour, and maybe even the 4, right? And you could be set up nicely, right? So you're good, right? Your rules were met. You had your level set and you took it. So it works. As long as the rules are met, that's the goal. That's the goal. As long as the rules are met, you pull the trigger. Yeah. I'm with you. All right, this is your Aussie. So overall, weekly long, right? 80-20 scenario. Been making its way, right? Came back into the zone that we wanted it to. Morningstar pattern. We got a push, right? Now we're getting a bit of some indecision here, but we're looking long from a weekly time frame perspective. We come down to the daily. Take this out for a second. Come down to the daily. Here's our 80-20 scenario that played out beautifully. Boom, 382 hit. Daily support. we got another push to the upside, but we ran right into this resistance level, and now we got this pullback, right? And we talked about this potential crown pattern here. We'll see it better on the 4, right? Got the nice pullback. Now let's see if we can push long. All right, we're starting to try to get that push now. Okay, so potential crown reversal pattern here, pushing to the upside. That D extension is in sights just above 168. All right, so coming to the 4, that's what we're looking for. Bingo. Yeah, we only got a 382 on the 4, but we got a nice push off that low, right? Double bottom scenario there. Strong push, pull back off the daily resistance level, right? And now we're getting price to turn over here, push to the upside. Okay. So here's that crown pattern on the 4. Took out that previous high. 4C right tip. Boom. Okay. So looking for this to continue moving to the upside. 163, 288. Somewhere in that range. Nice. Nice work. Nice work. That's the move. Okay. So now as we come down to the 1, there's the setup. There's the setup. 8-6 retracement. Stayed inside that A boundary, right? Stayed inside that A boundary, and we got price to swing there. Got price to swing there. Okay. Now we'll watch this continue pushing to the upside, right? Gave us what we're looking for in that retracement. Boom. Now we're looking long. Okay. Now we're looking long. The extension on this 1 hour 167 480 86. So on the 1 hour 66.025 is the D extension. So we'll shift this down. Boom. And there we go. Okay. There we go. Pushing to the upside there. Questions on the Euro Aussie. It's giving us what we've been looking for.
Hi, Ryan. Just a quick question.
Jeremy, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Great. Yeah, so considering the current price, if you go along from there, is you marching the extension, the 1.270 level or the 1.618, the extension from where prices at the moment.
Say that one more time for me, Jeremy.
Yeah, from where prices at the moment, which is 618.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you buy it from here, would the marching the extension be the 1.618 or
Gotcha.
the 1.270, considering price retrace to the 860 level?
Yep. So my question back to you is, what's the deepest point in between the AB boundary?
Is it C?
Yep. And what level is that?
860.
86. So whatever that deepest level is, the matching D extension is off of the deepest level, not where you take your entry.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. That's correct.
Deepest level there. So
okay.
With that push to that 8.6 level, boom, matching D extension is the 118.
Okay.
Good question.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Appreciate you asking. All right. So there we go. 8.6 retracement, 118 extension is the matching. All right. So beautiful swing there, taking us time. That's up to you and your trading plan, Carolyn, right? That's up to you and your trading plan. So does your trading plan call for a pullback, right? Once price gets to a low level, or if price is anywhere in this zone, 618 or deeper, do you take an entry? Right? Do you take an entry? So that's something for you to think through on how you enter a trade if you miss the lowest point in the original break of the trend line or the break of the cloud. Right? How do you enter the trade? Right? How do you enter the trade? I got into this one a little bit early, off this double bottom and that push to the upside. Right? So that was an error on my side. I got into early and took some additional drawdown, but I still placed my stop outside the A, and I did my math, so I was okay with the stop loss if it did get hit, right? But that's the question that you want to think through, Carolyn. If I don't take an entry off the lowest point, but price is still within my parameters, where do I take the entry? Do I take the entry when I see the opportunity, or do I wait for a potential pullback and then an entry? All right. Price is in the sweet spot, right? Price is in the sweet spot. So yes, you could take an entry with price in the sweet spot. Okay, if you see that, that's cool, right? Again, that's something that you're gonna have to look at, right? So if you start looking at those swing lows, those smaller waves, maybe you drop down to the 15, right? And you run your fibs here to look for price to pull back into your zone. Okay, you got a 786 retracement here. Price hit the D extension, right? So you wait for that new fib to form, and now maybe look at it like this, right? And wait for price to pull back into your sweet spot, right? Because at the end of the day, you want price to be in the zone that you trade, right? So maybe look at it like this on the 15, right? If this is a time frame you trade on, wait for that pullback here on those smaller waves, and then that could give you the opportunity there, right? But again, the thing I want to caution, not just Carolyn, but everybody on, is trying to time price. That's not the game that we're playing, right? Perfect entries don't exist, right? Does it meet your rules? Do you have a directional bias, right? But does it meet your rules? If it meets your rules, pull the trigger. The entry will never be perfect, right? If that's a game that you get into, you're going to struggle with consistency because now you're trying to time the market, and that doesn't go well. That doesn't go well, right? So timing the market isn't the game. The name of the game is, are my rules met? Are my rules met? Right? If my rules are met, I pull the trigger. If my rules are met, I pull the trigger. If my rules are met, I pull the trigger. Right? So that's the game that we're playing here. Okay. You're welcome, JC. It's not about timing, because you'll never time the market perfectly. You'll never time the market perfectly. People that tell you that you can, they're not being honest with you, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't. So don't try to time the market. Flesh out your rules in detail so that you understand what your rules are. And when those rules are met, take the trade. That's the game. That's how you get consistent in the space. That's how you do it. So, good deal. Even in changing time frames, right? Even in changing time frames. Usually I drew this out here, right? Price still needs to come back to the 618 retracement zone if you're trading on the 15. Price still needs to come back here. If price comes back here, trade is in play. If it doesn't, it's not. And that's okay. We don't have to trade every pair. We don't have to take every setup. You shouldn't take every setup, right? Because you have risk parameters also in your trading plan. How much of your account is at risk at one time? What's up, Joy?
I was gonna say for Carolyn, she got to make sure she watched that video Benny posted, because what old boy touched in that, I had to remember I had to redefine what kind of trader I was. So once I redefined what kind of trader I was, which I really didn't think it was a difference between swing and position. And now once I listen to it, I hear it helped me side, it helped me handle those drawdowns. So wherever I end up putting my, position in, because with my broker, I can put the position in and it'll put me where it want to put me. And as you explained, that'll be the spread, right? And a lot of times the broker spread, it can jump within like 2 seconds. It can go from 2 to 147 and it'll go real quick. And so what I just, meant to, like, this is where I said I'm gonna go, which is I aim for the sweet spots. I'm in that area and I'm just gonna close the chart so I don't have to look at the drawdown. And then just play it. And then, I'm just trying to get focused of only thing I didn't agree with is like putting my stop in placement, because to me, that's me protecting my capital. But a lot of things he said hit home, and it kind of redefined how we see ourselves as traders.
I love it. I love it. I love the application. Appreciate that, Joy. Appreciate that. It's good insight. Definitely check out that interview. It was really, really, really good. Really good. Cool deal. Any other questions, thoughts, feedback? Jeremy, I got you. I'll put it in here, but it's the Forex Trade Room at gmail.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. All right, good people. Benny, anything before we close this thing out, bro? Oh, he might have had a drop. Yeah. 40 years is a long time. Tons of insight in that 40 years, man. Tons of growth, tons of opportunity, tons to see. Good people. Great session. Appreciate the feedback. Appreciate the thoughts. And look, again, it's about growth, learning, and evolution. That's it, right? You learn, you implement, you learn, you implement, you learn, you implement. That's how we grow. Even in the space of trading, that's how we grow. So find that 1% today, good people. 1%, take one step today. What's one thing that you can do to move yourself closer to the desires that you have? We'll be back at it tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. You guys have a phenomenal, phenomenal day. Peace.
Thank you.
You're welcome.